Welcome back to Passive Aggression Season 7, Volume 7, whatever you want to call it. I'm your host, Dominic, and I've got an issue. This is an issue that I've had for a very long time, and it's something that I would like to start, at the top of the show with, because it's heavy on my heart right now. If you're building a restroom, or if your job is to construct a restroom, and you are installing urinals for the men's restrooms, specifically to the men's restroom, and you're installing urinals, and you're not also installing dividers between the urinals, you're the worst person in the world. And I figured it out. You're the worst person in the world, and I don't want you to have anything good, and I'm annoyed. Because I went to the movie theater the other day, and it's a theater that I frequent, this is nothing new. However, it's not a very busy theater. And so when I go there, I have the pleasure of, one, picking my urinal. There's a method. I like to usually go on the outskirts. I like to be either on the far right, far left, because at least there's some division. I'm divided at least halfway if there are no dividers, and I can tilt my body to I want to keep this stuff to myself. I'm not looking, but I don't know if you're looking, and I'm nervous. Leave me alone, And do I get pee anxiety? I think so, because whenever I'm about to use the restroom and someone walks up to the urinal next to me, because they're also the worst person in the world, and they don't go for the other urinals. If there's 5 urinals, there's actually 3, right? If you know, you know. If there's 5 urinals that you see, there's actually 3, and also there's actually just 2. And if you go into any of the urinals that are not of the 3, the 2 on the end and then the middle, if you go into the other 2 and there's people if you're next to someone, if you purposely go next, it's never that serious. I always wait. If I see an opening and I'm just number 2 and 4 they're open, but I'm just gonna wait it out because they're peeing and it'll be quick. And so I wait it out. Sometimes I just turn around you know what, never mind. I went to the Ren Fair for the first and last time this year, and when I tell you, I was gobsmacked. I was frightened. I was concerned. I was nervous. When I walked into the restroom, I don't know what they call it. Huzzah! Go to the place where, I don't know what they called it. You know what I mean? But they called it something else. It wasn't restroom. And I'm just okay, cute. This is a whole thing. First time at the Ren Fair. Gotta say, never going again. Very overwhelmed. And I also, there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on, and it's just not for me. And that's okay, and I tried it, and yay for trying. Yay for trying. You did it. You can say that you don't like it instead of not liking something and never even figuring out if you like. You just, But, I went to the Ren Fair and never going again. Anyways, to the point, I went to the Ren Fair for the first and last time the other day. Well, not the other day, recently. And I was mortified when I walked into the restroom because it was one urinal. It was one urinal. It was one long, narrow urinal. And it was a communal urinal where everyone was you just into that urinal. And I get it. It's cute. This is fun. Everything's on theme. Sorcery, wizards. Sure, I get it. Fun, love it. Great. I appreciate the commitment to the bit, but hey, it stops at the restroom, right? It stops at the restroom. When we're at the restroom, it's back to real life. Can we do that? It's back to real life, and let's have urinals, and let's have dividers between the urinals, and let's not all just pee into a log. Let's not do that, right? And you know what? Maybe people love that. Maybe that's their favorite part of the whole experience. So guess what? Not for me, and I'm not going ever again, and that's fine. And that was one big reason. That was one big reason for me. Now, anyways, back to the movie theater. So I do get pee anxiety because because when someone approaches and decide to be like an awful person and come up to the urinal next to me, all of a sudden I need to wait a little bit. It's like I reset. It's like I just got there. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready to pee. This might be too much information. I'm ready to pee. Someone walks up and it's like I'm resetting. And I'm like, oh, now I got to wait again. Let's go back and let's try this again. So I'm sitting there and then I'm overthinking. And I'm like, oh my God, they think that I can't pee right now because they're not here. I've just been standing here. And to them, they're just already, they're off to the races, and they're just like, what's this guy doing here, just standing there? And then I get nervous, and then that holds it back even more, and then it's a whole issue. And we've been to therapy, and I didn't bring that up in therapy because I didn't think that was something I should really talk about, but it is something that I should definitely talk about, and we're learning every day. So I go into this urinal, this restroom. I'm using the urinal, and it's fine. I just got out of the movie. And like I said, it's not a very busy theater, and I usually go there. It's not my weekend theater that I go to. It's the one that I just kind of go by myself, and it's on the weekdays, super dead, right? I go there, and I'm having a great time. I'm peeing. And then these two people, a father and a son, they come to the urinals, and the little son comes to the urinal next to me, and the father is on the one next to him. So we're in urinals 1, 2, and 3. 4 and 5 are wide open. I'm pissed off, and I feel very exposed now, because I was just kind of, having a great time. I don't want to say out in the open, but I wasn't really concerned about watching my back. Because like I said, there are no dividers. So I wasn't really concerned, because you have to kind of like, you cover with your body. So I wasn't really concerned with doing that. So these guys come in and then I adjust. I'm like, oh, whoa, what do we do? Whoa, whoa, I shouldn't have to do that at a restroom. And I just wanted to, my camera decided to freak out on me. Anyways, I shouldn't have to do that in a restroom, and I hate that I did. All right, so that wasn't the main topic that I wanted to talk about today. That was just a topic that was really heavy on my heart. But the second thing I want to talk about, this is, we're starting off with a little bit of laughter because I'm trying to warm you guys up for this next part. And it's a controversial topic. We're gonna quickly talk about religion. I know, big 180 shift. If you want to head out, go ahead. Go right ahead, please. Please do. Actually, please just head out. But it's just something that I've been thinking about a lot, because I don't know what's going on. And I am a religious person. I grew up Catholic, right? Went to the church, Sunday school. It's great. It's fine. I wear a cross all the time. All the time. I never take it off. Here it is. Right? I wear it all the time. And I believe that there is a being out there, as much as I believe that there are aliens out there. And I'm being honest with you right now. I believe it. I believe there are aliens out there, because the world is the earth is so small, the universe is so vast, there's no way that we're all just here. There's absolutely no way. And if you think that, then open up your mind a little bit. So there's no way that there's nothing else out there. Okay, we're figuring new stuff out. We're finding new things every day here. Okay, we haven't even figured out what's in the ocean. There's new stuff in the ocean, you guys, and You know what I mean? Let's not get into that right now. But I do believe that there is a greater power out there, and I would like to believe that, sure. But I'm at like I'm at the bottom floor when it comes to that stuff. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to say, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what's been going on. But what I realized this not too long ago. I was like, I feel all of a sudden like a black sheep in my family. All of a sudden. And you know what? It's not just me. And I understand it's not just me. There's other, you know, I see you. I see the other players in the family. I'm like, I got you. Right? But all of a sudden, listener, it seems like overnight, but it's been a gradual progression. Everyone's really getting into Jesus. Everyone's really, you know, and that's great. And that's great for them. But I was just like, I wasn't notified I didn't get the memo. I don't know. I wasn't in the group chat. Why are we all now? Everyone is like, you know, really going for it. And again, that's fine and that's great. Great for them. And I do appreciate, you know, not necessarily being pressured. They're like, oh, you know, but every now and again I'll get like some comments and I'm like, oh, great, thank you. But, yeah, so I've just really, I don't know what's going on. And I just wanted to kind of put this out there. I'm not sharing a message on this podcast. Again, like I said a long time ago, this is a video, an audio diary for myself. This podcast is an audio diary for myself. I can look back and I'll see how I've progressed and how life has gone and these little entries of mine, these episodes, and I see what, it's just for me. And if you want to listen, that's great and that's fantastic and I appreciate that. But ultimately it's for me. So I'm just sharing my feelings on this topic right now. I had a lunch with a former coworker of mine, and he was like, and we were talking about work, and he has a new opportunity now, but he told me that something happened with his job. He had to leave his job. He was, you know, fired from his job, and so forced out, right? He was forced out, but he wasn't happy there. But he just never quit. And so he was forced out of the job, and he was forced out of the job in the morning, like early morning, afternoon. And in the evening, he received an email about another job opportunity. And they were like, you know, we'd love to further this thing with you. Like, let's get the ball rolling. Let's go. So he was out of one opportunity and got another opportunity, which is what he's doing right now. And that happened all in the same day. And he told me that's God's timing. Now, and I was like, oh yeah. But I was really thinking, I was like, God's timing. You know, because another big issue that I have, I have a lot of issues with not necessarily God or Jesus, but the way that we are sharing that information with other people. I remember I went to this church, a Baptist church. Listener, I've lived a couple lives. I went to this Baptist church with a couple friends in high school, early high school, and the pastor there, or whatever they are called, he said that they legalized same-sex marriages on his birthday, and the whole crowd was like, oh no, and he was just, his head was down. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Where am I? What, you know, it was like I was in Get Out. That's really what I was like, oh no, I don't belong here. Because I was following you up until we made that comment. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. This guy did this in the Bible and that relates to what we do in real life. And sure, I appreciate that. Share your story, sir. But once he got to that, I was like, oh no, oh no, this is not where I should be right now because I don't agree. Because I don't agree. And I understand that it's like being religious and being, and being homophobic or whatever is not, they're not mutually exclusive. It can, you can be one without the other. And I get that. And there are a lot of people who are like, they love everybody, and that's great, and that's what I appreciate. But the fact that we're all like, we're not on the same page with this gives me pause, right? Because it's like, I don't know, the way that my brain is computing this information is like if I have let's say the Bible is an apple pie recipe, and I have the apple pie recipe, and I'm reading the apple pie recipe, and it says that I need red apples. It says I need apples for this pie. And then someone else reads it and says I need only red apples. Like, I can only use red apples for this. Don't you ever use any other color of apple, or I swear on everything, it's not going to be good, right? And then someone else says, I can only use green apples. I don't know where you're getting this red apple stuff from. It clearly says only green apples. It has to be nice and sour and crisp. That's kind of how I feel this whole situation is, for me, in my brain. And I'm like, why are we, it's an apple pie recipe. Why is it so hard for us to all figure out and be all on the same page? I don't appreciate these guys saying one thing and then these guys saying another thing. I'm like, what are we doing? And so I just kind of like, I'm chilling, and I'm actually just gonna do me. Now, every now and again I talk to the big man, sure. I'm like, hey, how's it going? We don't really talk much. How you been? How you been, man? And he's never spoken to me. I've never heard anything, and I've been like, oh, there he is. I've never thought that. And I've never felt his presence, like whenever I've gone to church. Everyone's like, oh, I feel him. He's in the room. He's here. I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about, you guys? Hello? Why doesn't he want to talk to me? Where? So that's kind of where I'm at with that whole situation, and how I feel about all that stuff. And I really, it's concerning when I feel like, when it feels like you're doing, like, the idea of like saving someone, like, oh, you gotta be saved. Have you been saved yet? No. You want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because anything can happen at any time. There's no way for us to, what are we safe from? Stop it. Stop it. And again, I understand the controversy behind what I'm saying, and I understand but that's really, listener, that's where I'm at. That's really just how I feel, and I don't know. But it's like being worried for other people, and wanting to make sure that, I'm gonna go into this parking lot here. I'm not done with this conversation. Okay. All right, let's get in here. It's a little scary, dark parking lot here, but let's get in it. Now, on the topic of God's timing, right? There's another issue that I have is not taking credit for yourself, And I notice this a lot, and I'm overthinking it, and maybe I'm not understanding it clearly. But whenever something good happens to people, and they're just like, "Thank God for this opportunity," I'm just always in the back of my mind like, "No, thank you for this opportunity. Thank yourself. What did he do? You did the job. You did the work. You clocked in. You woke up. You did the work. You put together the resume. You applied for the job. Like, and then you did the interview. You spoke to people. You were rejected for this one. You weren't rejected for that one. You did the interview, and they liked you. And now you're driving to work, and now you have a job. That's you. There's nothing. Oh, but he helped me wake up this morning. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Give yourself some credit. And that's something that okay. All right. This is a fine line. We're walking a little fine line because I'm already contradicting myself in my head. Look, I understand in maybe divine intervention and believing in divine intervention, sure. Okay. But also, hey, coincidence, right? Coincidence is a thing. Coincidences happen. Or is that divine intervention? What are we like? It's a whole can of worms. It's a lot, listener, and that's something that I don't know. But so I've never had, personally, to be fair, I've never had an experience where I'm like, this is my testimony. You know, this was God. I've never had an experience like that. However, I do have one instance where I can think of that someone might relate back to God or Jesus, or, you know. I graduated from college, and I was applying everywhere. Now I had this degree, bachelor's, and I want to get into newspaper, you know, TV news, whatever. I want to get into that field, journalism, figure that out. I was applying everywhere, and I wasn't getting any bites. Nothing. Locally, I reached out to, you know, other like nearby cities. Nothing. Now, maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. Maybe the resume wasn't good enough. I don't know. That could have just been me. But I was applying, and I really thought that I had something. And everyone else I would talk to, like, oh my God, my whole life they would be like, oh, Dominic, you're gonna go far. And I'm like, okay, sure, but tell these other people, right? So nothing was really happening, and I was working a retail job, and I hated it. Well, I didn't hate it, but I was like, like, what am I doing here? And I really felt behind. I felt like I'm not moving forward in life. I graduated, but what was all that for? Why am I still working a retail job? And then I had the opportunity to move over here to Texas to help my sister out. And I did. And I left everything behind. I took a risk and came over here to Texas. And immediately was offered a job. Someone saw my resume here and was like, yes, let's go. Let's do it. And the rest is history. And I've loved my job. I've loved work. I've always loved working because I love the act of working and making money and being busy. I love being busy, and I work. I'll take an overtime shift. I'll do everything. I'll work 7 days a week, whatever. I don't care. I need to stay busy. And so when I'm on vacation every now and again, like after a couple days, I'm like, okay, let's get back to it, right? Let's get back to work. So I like my vacations to be nice and sweet. 5 days is like the really nice sweet point. Whenever it's a week, I get a little antsy. So 5 days I can manage, right? So I got a job when I moved here, and ever since I've moved here, I've loved work in a different way. I've just genuinely loved to go to work. And not necessarily is to be busy and make money. That too, but just the fact that I get to do what I do, I love it. And I absolutely don't take it for granted. And I'm so thankful every day. And there has not been a single day where I've been to work and I'm like, I don't want to be here. Never. there are several days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to wake up right now. But when I get to work, everything's fine and I love it. And I understand that that's a privilege, and not many people get to say that. And I understand that. But in large part, I feel like I worked for that. I put in the time. I moved my life over here. And so you can say maybe it's God's timing. God pushed you out of your environment so you can come try something else. But I like to feel like, yeah, I just needed a new change of scenery, and I needed to be somewhere else, and everything started working out, when I left. And yeah, so I think that might be the only instance in my life where you can kind of say, oh, God's timing, Dominic. Maybe. But yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at right now with religion and all that. And because, I believe in a higher power because, sure, why not? But I believe in science, of course. I believe in aliens. I believe in evolution. I believe in all of these things because it's just, yeah, you make a fine point there. Sure, that makes sense. So the thing that just gives me pause about religion, and no matter where you're coming from, like if anyone says, here, Dominic, I just need you to understand this, and this is why you need to really, go to church and all that stuff. I'm always going to say, hey, if I go down the street and ask another person who's religious, who believes in the same God that you believe in, they're going to have a whole different story. They're going to have a whole different set of rules that they live their lives by. They're going to have experience a whole different, it's not the same. You're not following the same code of conduct. You're not, I'm so confused. So how about you all figure your stuff out, talk to each other instead of trying to recruit other people to your little sect of the Bible. Stop recruiting other people. Talk amongst yourselves, figure yourselves out, and then once you have a plan and we're all on the same page, got it. And I understand, there's different gods. Look, I don't even want to get into all this stuff because I'm not super well educated. But I'm right there with you. I agree. There's something else out there. And we're just going to leave it at that. The specifics, we get to the specifics, you lose me. Because I believe that everyone should be loved. I believe everyone should be all right. And no one should be judged for being different. And, just stop. And I don't feel bad for anyone for not believing what I think. And I don't think that, and crying because they're going to, you're not going up to heaven. And I'm so sad for you. Stop. So that's where I'm at. And controversial episode. Sorry if you want to unsubscribe from the podcast, go ahead. Because that's where I'm at, and that's that, and that we're gonna leave it there. And before I say anything else that might, spark any other, I don't know. Listener, thank you so much for if you've made it this far, thank you so much genuinely for listening.